Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of despair. Ours is no caravan of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
You are welcome here.
No matter your religious beliefs or lack of belief, you are welcome here.
No matter your age, sex, sexual orientation or gender identity, you are welcome here.
No importa tu ciudadanía, tú estás bienvenido aquí.
No matter your citizenship, politics,
or relationship status.
No matter your physical characteristics or health, you are welcome here.
Whoever you are, wherever you are from,
you are welcome in this place. Good morning and welcome to the online worship service for Sunday morning, November 15th, 2020, for the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Montgomery. My name is Lynn Hopkins. It is my honor to serve this congregation as its minister, and I'm so glad that you could join us this morning. I'd like to invite you into this hour of worship with opening words from UU religious educator Linda Susan Ulrich. Open the doors. Push on looming wooden arches embroidered with ironwork. Brace shoulders against the weight of history unmoved. Slough off the musty smell of unused joy and stored up sorrow. Knock rust off the hinges if you have to, and let your breath precede you inside. Open the doors more. Make room for a shaft of sunlight to cross the threshold. Give the dust mite something to dance about. Peek through a single slice of possibility and name even the half-hidden truths you see. Open the doors wider still. Pour yourself through the gap. Strut or sneak or sidle as suits you best. Cleanse whatever scrapes catch your skin and bind up the wounds that keep you from entering whole. Open the doors as far as they will go. Draw on the strength of the stones beneath you. Ground yourself in a firm sense of who you are. Stand as a beacon, welcoming the next seeker, and shine far beyond the lintel and sill. Open all that you are. Heighten and deepen your connections to the world around you. Broaden your definition of neighbor. Grow into the largest target for grace. that you can muster. And pray to become a gateway for even greater love and compassion. Open the doors, my friends, lest we keep the stranger out and condemn ourselves to prisons of our own making. I'd like to invite those who wish to join me in speaking aloud our congregational covenant. We, the members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Montgomery, promise to serve our community with open minds, willing hearts, and helping hands as we respect one another, honoring that our perceptions may differ, value our differences, working to better understand them in conflict, give joyfully of ourselves, being in harmony with our capabilities, and embrace our connections with each other, nature, the global community, and the great mystery of life. And now we will hear from our coordinator of religious education, Roger Burdett, with a time for all ages.
So what is up with this old tin box? What could be in here? To find out, we need to go back in time to 1946, to Brooklyn. Let's go on Time for All Ages. Good morning, welcome to Time for All Ages. We're doing something a little bit different. Reading a story, we always do something like that, but I got my source locally. Our friends over at New South Books said I could use some of their material, so I bought some of their material, including this one. This is a book called Greenhorn by Anna Allswinger, with these really excellent illustrations by Miriam Nerlove. So first, let's read a little bit about this book. This will take us at least a couple of Sundays, but hey, just chill out and relax. Come back next week, let's find out what happens. Greenhorn is a tender, touching celebration of friendship, family, and faith. I must admit, I cried at the horror and the humanity of this simple story. Read it with your arms around someone you love. So to get some context, let's read a little bit from the book cover. In Anna Allswinger's Greenhorn, a young Holocaust survivor arrives at a New York yeshiva in 1946. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. I am not Jewish. I would love to learn more about Judaism and our Jewish friends. If I mispronounce something, please forgive me. I mean no harm. 1946, New York yeshiva. He will study and live. His only possession is a small box that he never lets out of his sight. Daniel, the young survivor, rarely talks, but the narrator, who is a stutterer, hears the taunts of the other boys and still comes to consider Daniel his friend. So let's dig into this. I don't know what's so important that Rebbe couldn't let us finish the inning, says Reuben. He whispered to his brother, Bernie. Now the 5th grade's playing stickball in our part of the yard. Why are you whispering, says Bernie. The Rebbe's practically deaf. Now, again, not Jewish, Rebbe, rabbi, get it? Rabbi Ehrlich set beneath the Land of Israel wall calendar compliments of Goldberg's delicatessen. He stared out the window at the playground between the yeshiva and South 2nd Street. Without turning his head, he pulled a wadded up handkerchief from his pants pocket and he wiped his eyes. So as the story develops, the rabbi tells the boys that they are about to get 20 boys from Poland. Their parents all died in concentration camps. For a moment, everybody kept quiet. And then Irving, the guy in the back row, raised his hand and said, "My mama's afraid that our cousins back in Poland got sent to a concentration camp. So how come they're called camps, Rebbe? Camp is where kids are supposed to spend the summer eating chocolate pudding desserts. Be quiet, Irving. It's a terrible thing there. What are you, why are you talking? Be quiet yourself, Aaron, he said. But the rabbi didn't really respond to the questions. He just said, look, these 20 boys are coming to us from Poland. You're going to have to share your dormitory space. And one big guy named Herschel sort of dug his pencil into the desk. What's the Rebbe talking about, says Herschel. How are we going to squeeze more guys into rooms the size of closets? And you know what? I think I'm going to stop right there. This might actually last longer than 2 weeks. Thank you to New South Books for letting us read this book, which they published. Come back next week. What's in the box? Maybe we'll find out. Have a really good week.
We have a practice in our community to take a moment to lift up and let go the things that we carry through the week. It's been another long week. With this virus raging beyond anything we had seen before, there is fear and danger looming all around. We're grateful to be able to join together in the relative safety of our own homes, and so glad that we can be together, even if not in physical space, as we continue to build, grow, and deepen the community that we have made here. I invite you to use the chat box to share whatever is on your heart this morning, joys and sorrows, concerns, expectations, anxieties, whatever it may be. Let us open our hearts to one another, to hear one another, and be present in fellowship and solidarity.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Flow with the wind, rise in the seas, move in my hand, giving light the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
It's the practice of our congregation to share the undesignated Sunday offering with an organization doing the work on the ground to which we are dedicated in principle. And for this quarter, the Social Action Committee has designated the minister's discretionary fund to be the Share the Plate recipient. The fund is a way that you can be of support and assistance in emergencies to members of your own community. Needs arise and people are able to contact me and discreetly, confidentially receive support as may be available in the fund. And with financial strains growing, with illness increasing, and employment once again becoming more seriously threatened for many in our community. I anticipate that the holiday season will bring new challenges in the lives of many. The minister's discretionary fund is not a budgeted item. It depends entirely on separate contributions from the congregation, and so I would encourage you to either use the PayPal link or send a check to our physical address, UUFM 2810 Atlanta Highway. All of that information is on our website, uumontgomery.org.
Let's start with a good dad. So real, but it's so sad. While we're burning this incense, we're gonna pray for the innocent. Cause right now it don't make sense. Right now it don't make sense. Let's talk about Chi-Town. Let's talk about Gaza. Let's talk about Israel. Cause right now in Israel, let's talk Nigeria and the mass hysteria. Yeah, our souls are brought together so that we could love each other, brother. We are here. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. That's why we are here. Why we are here. We are here. No guns made in Harlem, but yet crime is a problem. He wanna shine, they wanna rob him. Single mother, where they come from. How we gonna save the nation with no support for education? Cause right now it don't make sense. Right now it don't make sense. Let's talk about our heart. My heart touch your heart. Let's talk about living. Had enough of dying, not what we all about. Let's do more giving, do more forgiving. Yeah, our souls are brought together so that we can love each other, sister. We are here. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. That's why we are here. Why we are here. We are here. Oh, 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 oh,
Last Sunday, I delivered what might easily be the most political sermon I've ever preached. It was on the first principle, specifically on the language at the end. The principle says we covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And it was the every that had my attention last week. The first principle goes to the very core of all politics, which seeks to answer the question, who is in and who is out? Who's included, who's excluded, and who gets to make the decisions? And whether it's national politics or office politics or church politics, it's who's in, who's out, and who makes the decisions. The activities that we commonly refer to as political activities essentially is how we carry out the decisions that each of us and all of us together have made about that question. And the first principle, therefore, is inherently political. It is how Unitarian and Universalists answer that big question. Every person. Privilege, for most of us, allows us to see politics as just a little compartment of life that we concern ourselves with once every 2 or 4 years. Politics, for many of us, is all about how much property tax I pay, or how well the schools are funded, how I get my health care, where we send soldiers and how they are treated, about deciding who else gets how much of what I have. But for those who aren't included, returning felons, people without inherited wealth who have lived in generational poverty, people of color, people with physical conditions or mental illness that prevent stable employment, people who have survived childhood trauma, childhood neglect, childhood malnutrition, people whose parents were born outside the United States, people whose gender does not align with their biological sex. I'm sure you can think of other groups. For those who are outside, the very same elections that may seem trivial to many of us literally represent the right to live safely in our own neighborhoods, to have an opportunity for income, to get protection rather than threat from police and the courts, to have enough to eat, to be able to go out after dark or visit an unfamiliar town without expecting to face a deadly threat. If you aren't with those who are included, then the right to exist is political. It always hangs in the balance. Things that most of us take for granted are matters up for vote, decided by those who make the decisions. The first principle is the spiritual or foundational groundwork of our vision, affirming and promoting the inherent worth and dignity of every person. That is who's included. Every person. The second principle, justice, equity, and compassion. Equity in particular. That's how we make it so. I think we have some sense of what we think justice and compassion mean, even if we may not always agree on the definitions. They're familiar words with known meanings. But equity is something else. Equity is so very often conflated with or confused with equality that I'm quite clear its meaning is misunderstood by a great many folks. Equity is what would be achieved if one's identity, if some attribute or combination of attributes about a person was not determinative of opportunity and success. It's not equality. Equity is one part of justice. It includes work to address the root causes of imbalance and inequities. So working for equity, affirming and promoting equity, includes working to eliminate and reverse policies and practices and cultural norms and attitudes that reinforce this difference in outcome based on personal attributes like race, sex, sexuality, disability, religion, socioeconomic status. Justice, equity, compassion. It seems to me the sequence here is odd. When we really look carefully at these components, I want to say compassion, equity, justice. And very often I talk about justice, equity, compassion as a sort of compound word, that no one of those things truly exists without the other two. But because I want to zero in here today on the word equity, I want to say compassion, equity, justice. Compassion is our starting place, especially for those of us in positions of advantage. What we need most is compassion to break through or to penetrate the barriers to understanding. The barriers we put up between us and those who lack the advantages we enjoy. You know, the people who have trouble understanding why Black people don't just do better in school, or why immigrants won't just learn the language, or why people with chronic illness don't just eat better. Compassion can get us from a bias rooted in ignorance to a solidarity rooted in understanding. Compassion is not sympathy or pity. Compassion is feeling with. It is movement into solidarity. It is identifying with the person in their full humanity. So we start with compassion. Understanding is needed to see the challenges and feel in our hearts the need to address them. Compassion is the starting place for so much that we as Unitarian Universalists work for: justice, inclusion, community, mutuality. Compassion is the first ingredient, because if we cannot feel our connection with each other, it's not likely we'll ever experience its joys or take much action to enrich the lives of others. Justice is the ultimate aim. It's the ultimate aim of all we do. It literally means to set right. Whether it's interpersonal or social or political justice, justice is the setting right of the world, establishing balance, shalom. So compassion is our personal investment. Equity is the social component, and justice is the guiding principle and the aim. Where we tend to get everything off track is when we start thinking that equality figures into this. Now, it's true. Equality is better than inequality, but I put it in a category with tolerance. It may be better than its opposite, but it's nowhere near what I'm going for. And the clearest example of how equality has failed to move us into justice, consider the public education system. This is on my mind right now. The mayor called a gathering of clergy online this week to talk about the passage of the new funding bill. The public education system is designed and structured to be equal. Everyone has the same access to the same stuff. Now, sure, the funding mechanism through property tax means that poor school districts have poor schools, but everyone has the equal right to move to a neighborhood with the best schools, right? They have the right, but not the opportunity. That's equality, not equity. Because our social system, our American way of life, is guided ultimately by the values inherent in capitalism. Those who have earned more wealth are entitled to buy more, get a better education. Nothing wrong with that, right? Work your way up the system, earn your stuff, buy better stuff, right? Equal employment laws, equal housing laws, and the like. I mean, quality education is equally available to everyone. Equality, not equity. We like to think if we can just improve the quality of public schools, we solve the problem. Now, I once preached like 30 minutes on why that's a fallacy, why full funding of the schools is, yes, an absolutely necessary first step, a moral imperative toward justice, but it has zero hope of actually solving the problem. I'll spare you the whole thing, but let me just give you a capsule. Because the obstacles that we're struggling against are rooted in economic barriers that are hundreds of years old, and political barriers that are hundreds of years old, and a legacy of oppression and dominance imprinted on the genes of Black Americans and white Americans, and woven into our social norms and electoral systems. The school funding issue is one of hundreds of symptoms of a pathology that got us here. And if our response is simply establishing equality, we can only hope to assure the continuation of what we have. What's worse, when we lift up equality as a high moral ideal, we all but guarantee that we don't aim higher. Remember the Voting Rights Act? Used to be a thing. Making a law to guarantee the right to vote, that's equality. When we continue to allow the groups in power to set all the rules and establish the district boundaries, to fix the schedules and the document requirements, the goal of equal access is unattainable. So, the U.S. Congress, in its wisdom, took a step toward equity by including in the law a requirement of federal review for any changes to the electoral rules and districts, for states whose history suggested a long-standing pattern of discrimination. Sadly, tragically, in a case originating just up the road here in Shelby County, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in favor of equality rather than equity. All states should be treated equally regardless of a proven inclination to prevent access to the ballot. Those folks in the states making the rules, they didn't own slaves, they didn't issue poll taxes or literacy tests, they didn't beat people back on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Why are we penalizing them? We need equality. And what we have is what we get when we seek equality. Since the laws have been changed to ban poll tax and literacy tests, the most egregious examples of exclusion, the court decided that the federal law had established enough of a level playing field, established equality among the states, and therefore everybody should be treated equally. So immediately dozens of laws came flooding out to prevent and circumvent any possibility of real equity, to reverse the small advances that had been made in previous years. Equality is relatively easy, and it sounds really good. But the truth is, until we have a way to go back hundreds of years in our history so that the American story can begin with equality of health and wealth and education level and prestige and legal status and social power and all of the things that can be used to determine who is in and who is out and who makes the decisions, until we can go back and undo everything we have done in our history. Equality is a counterproductive pursuit. But you can see why we prefer it. I mean, equity is damn hard work. It requires that we talk about and deal with things that are not easy, things that threaten our ego image, things that threaten the way that we see ourselves in this world. Things that may threaten the way that we view the nation and its glorious past. Things that may even threaten the way we see friends and members of our own family. Honesty is hard. It's hard and it hurts. But equity requires that we do actually talk about and deal with things that are not easy. You know, like reparations, affirmative action, redistribution of wealth, restructuring the electoral system, and not just that, but all of the political systems of our nation, all of the systems that speak to who is in and who is out, and who makes the decisions. When we say that we covenant to affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, we are pledging ourselves to upend and overturn the order of things. Because the order of things is not set around equity, but more often than not designed to prevent it. It is a natural and inescapable impulse that those who have power will do what they can to preserve it. And therefore, if we hope to manifest and make real the promise of equity, we're going to have to get our hands dirty and stay up late. Worst of all, we're going to have to sit in uncomfortable spaces, hear and reflect deeply on uncomfortable truths, and take action based on what we've learned. Equity is not equality, but it holds the salvation of our country and all of humanity. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, may it be so.
We are stronger than our pain. We are greater than our fear. We are made of each I am, and we choose where we stand. We don't you let no pain and fear drown our pain. We don't you let no pain and anger greater than our fear. We honor your pain, made of each I am. We choose where we stand. We can stand for peace and justice, stand for peace. We can stand for creating, choose to stand for love. There is power in each I am. We choose where we stand.
I hope you'll come and join us for second hour discussion after the service. It's on Zoom. The link is on the front of our website. I'm also going to post it here in the chat. I hope that you will take part in other things that go on during the week. There's a list on the front of our website. Todd Robinson is leading a series on religion and politics. Terry Sweeney has her ASL basics on Tuesday nights now. On Wednesday, UU&U meets to talk about, in sequence, basic ideas in the Unitarian Universalist wheelhouse, the principles, the sources, and the 5 smooth stones, as well as the arc of Unitarian Universalist history. And this Friday, I invite you to join us. It is November 20th, is Transgender Day of Remembrance. It's a day I mark every year. I started holding services at UUFM when I arrived. And I always hold them on the day, no matter what day of the week it falls. It's normally my day off on Friday, but I'm switching around this week because I need to be there on Friday. It'll be on Zoom. The link will be on the Facebook. I'll get it out in the Beacon. Meta and I are working out the particulars in order to accommodate the largest number of people in attendance. It'll be at 7 o'clock on Friday evening, November 20th, the Transgender Day of Remembrance. It's one of the many ways that we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, with particular attention to those who are too often discarded and dismissed by the dominant society. So for now, our service has ended. May our service begin.
Well, I'm sitting here in silence, sending people smiles and realizing when we send out love, it keeps on rising. So I choose to close my eyelids to send positive vibes into every living being, from the the ocean to the skies. And as I look at all the crisis, I realize that I just can send my love and prayers that will make it through this virus. To me, this is all priceless, to transform all the violence through sacrifice and trying, sitting on this cushion silent. May all beings be happy, peaceful and non-violent. May not one being suffer in their minds, even the tyrants. May all souls find alignment with their hands, their hearts and minds. And may all of us keep walking and persevere in these times with love.
Ooh, I'm sending prayers out to you. I'm sending prayers out to you. I'm sending prayers out to you. Prayers out to you, sending prayers out to you, sending prayers out to you. Oh, sending prayers out to you, sending prayers out to you, sending prayers out to you. Oh, sending prayers out to you. Sending prayers out to you. Sending prayers out to you.
Let's start with a good dad. So real, but it's so sad. While we're burning this incense, we're gonna pray for the innocent. Cause right now it don't make sense. Right now it don't make sense. Let's talk about Chi-Town. Let's talk about Gaza. Let's talk about Israel. Cause right now it is real. Let's talk Nigeria and the mass hysteria. Yeah, our souls are brought together so that we could love each other, brother. We are here. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. That's why we are here. Why we are here. We are here. No guns made in Harlem, but yet crime is a problem. He wanna shine, they wanna rob him. Single mother, where they come from. How we gonna save the nation with no support for education? Cause right now it don't make sense. Right now it don't make sense. Let's talk about our heart. My heart touch your heart. Let's talk about living. Had enough of dying, not what we all about. Let's do more giving, do more forgiving. Yeah, our souls are brought together so that we can love each other, sister. We are here. We are here for all of us. We are here for all of us. That's why we are here. Why we are here.